Hello, investors. It's Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time. Come to tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we are in an uptrend. If you look at trend gauge here, we have the four coveted green arrows. And what happened today? The power trend is on officially for the S&P 500. And if you don't know what that is, power trend triggers when the low is above the 21-day EMA for at least 10 days. The 21 EMA is above the 50-day SMA for at least 5 days. The 50-day SMA is in an uptrend and the market closes up for the day. We triggered that yesterday, and historically it is a very bullish signal for the market and typically signals more good times ahead. Obviously, that can always change, but we are operating under the assumption that the market will stay strong. Final numbers 21 over 21 list up about 1%, 11 green, 1 neutral, 9 red. Turbo 12 down 1.85%, 5 green, 7 red. Mag 7 down 1.67%, RG8 down 0.68%, 60/40 stock and bond down 0.41%, GROTECTION down 0.60%, TurboTaxion down 0.39% on the day. Let's get into the interasset correlation and the chart of the S&P 500. And you can see there was some volatility today, but where did the market bounce? Right off this 8 EMA. And actually, the first test of the 8 EMA since this lockout rally has transpired. And, typically a good buy, really keeping it simple. As long as we're above this 7,000 spot, dips can be buyable. And we saw that today. There were some headlines coming around again. Their markets initially moved lower on a report that Iran's air defense are engaging incoming targets. And then, CNBC saying that Iranian parliament speaker has resigned. And so, again, market headlines move the market quite a bit in this tape, and that's what we saw. But the bottom line is we closed well, held the AEMA, and buyers stepped in. RSP closed flat on the day. Nice cup and handle base that's forming. Watch if this can take through this 205 spot. The Qs continue to stay strong. Didn't even touch the AEMA. Continues to uh, hold this breakout. Mag 7 forming a nice continuation flag here after the strong move off the lows. Really, really healthy action there. Dow Jones Industrial Average as well. Again, seeing a lot of these continuation flags, and that's what you tend to see after a strong move up in the market. Kind of the setup that you'll see a lot is these short consolidation flag patterns. Mid caps undercut and reclaim the top of this base breakout zone and putting a nice hammer off the 8 EMA. Looks constructive. Russ 2000, nice retest of the top of the base as well with a nice lower wick off the 8 EMA. ARC back below the 200-day moving average. FFTY VIX was green on the day, spiked up all the way to 21 intraday, but closed back below 20. And again, when this pops, typically sometimes give the market more fuel to rally back higher as has more room down to 16, 18 from 20. So we'll see if this can get back through below $18. Something to watch. Just a big old range. Really, we talk about it every night, but it if you're a bull, this needs to get over 100 and hold. That would be a stage one breakout. And really, if you're a bear, you want to see it break this range lows. Other than that, it can just chop around in this range for a while. Gold, these look like they're starting to roll over. Kind of a wedging. It's kind of a wedging rally to the 50-day and now rolling over. GDX, same thing, failed breakout there. Silver, again, kind of a wedging rally and rolling back over. Bitcoin still holding above this base, but just lackluster to say the least. Bonds, another one that looks like a potential wedge here forming. Bear flag, we shall see. TLT, same thing there. And what does that mean? That means that rates could be setting up a breakout out of these flags. All right, that's the inter-asset correlation. Let's get into the tail of the tape. And percent stocks with the 5-day moving average, like to see this, not super overheated. And intraday, it got down to like, 30 on that sell off on the S&P 500. But we got the new sentiment readings, and oh, that's a typo right there. But AAII bulls came in at 43, up 14 points, and bears all the way down, which, that's notable. One of the highest bullish readings in a while. But this is the one, NAM at 94, up 14.66 points. And as we know, when this gets up, above 90 into that 100 zone, typically could mean a pullback is coming. Again, we don't know, but it's a secondary indicator that we track. And again, it's simple. If everyone's long, who's left to buy? So we'll see. But 94 is pretty high, but again, it can stay high for a while. So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind. Let's see. Today's keys, S&P, Qs, and Russell all holding above the 8 EMA. Let's see if they can crack all-time highs tomorrow. And then the ATR, the S&P 500, continues to decline. 4-day consolidation here on the S&P 500, 17 days above the 8 EMA, 12 days above the 21 EMA. Sectors-wise, semiconductors are going parabolic, to say the least. Stocks, record 16-day green streak, one of the most overbought it's ever been in history. You look at Marvell 12 ATR above the 50-day. ARM just triggered 10 ATR above the 50-day today. Intel's been extended and it's up even more to $78 after hours on earnings. So again, have semiconductors been insanely strong? Absolutely. Is the risk to reward good up here? Probably not. Does that mean it's a short? No. But just kind of, you know, telling you guys what we're seeing here with semiconductors being extended and other ones like Avgo, just huge moves. And then oil services making new highs today. Regional banks, utilities weakness. The SAT software continues to get wrecked. ServiceNow was down 18% on earnings today, and all the other software names were hit pretty hard again today. Tal, oldest time, right? REMX pulling back, other cyber, and then uranium and biotech. GROTECTION today bought positions in NBIS, EWZ, which is Brazil, added on to Credo and TNA, then sold LABU 1.45 RVAB, estimated balance at risk minus 5.55%. TurboTaxion bought Irene and APLD 2.25 RVAB, estimated balance at risk minus 7.12%. Bottom line, the power trend is on for the S&P 500. All right, let's talk about trades. GROTECTION bought NBIS today. You can see looking really good in this first flag after this big base breakout off the 8 EMA. Looks very reminiscent of SMCI base breakout. Again, chart looks fantastic. And then also bought EWZ, Brazil pulling back to the 21 EMA base retest. These emerging markets, Latin America, have been really strong. So seeing it on the dip, and then protection also added on to CRDO, and then also TNA, right? Really good spot here on small caps today. Base breakout retest, 8 EMA, hammer off, see if this can continue higher. And it's been leading at the highs, and then sold LABU, which is levered biotech, pulling back, see if this can hold the top of the base and this 21 EMA. TurboTaxion bought a position in APLD on the gap up catalyst. This group has been strong, closed pretty good on decent volume. So see if this can continue higher. And then also Iron, again, finally getting this big downtrend line breakout today. Pretty good volume, up 8% on the day. And this theme is really hot, right? The AI infrastructure stocks. You can see WGMI. This is an ETF that kind of captures a lot of them, but you got Iron. You have NBIS that we just showed. You have CoreWeave triggering ants and flagging here. You have Wolf flagging at the highs. You have Hut holding up at the highs. So this, we talked about this before, but when there's a big theme, right, the power bottleneck, you got a ton of different names in the group setting up, showing RS. That tells you a lot. Cypher also tried to get moving out of the space, rejected, doing nothing wrong though, still holding up pretty well. All right, leaders list. Let's take a look. Iron covered this. Like I mentioned, we bought this in TurboTaction today. VRT continuing higher, super strong. Marvell, see, this is 12 ATR above the 50-day moving average. But again, that signal works best when a stock is super extended out of a base. So when you look at Marvell, right, this is just now getting back above 2024, 2025 highs. So, I mean, short-term extended, yeah, but when you zoom out and look at longer term time frames, this is just breaking out of a base and it's, just getting into new highs versus, the ATR extensions above the 50-day moving average signals are much better, work much better when a stock has been in a out of the base for a while and has been the duration of the move has been longer. Teradyne acting great. We've held this in TurboTaction for a while. BE new highs again today after this catalyst U-turn. Oops, sorry. Sienna consolidating at the highs looks good to continue higher. Caterpillar, nice cup base breakout here today. PWR continuing higher, beautiful chart. Keys as well, just trending up the AEMA. GEV, strong day on earnings, day two, higher high. XPO getting a flag here off the AEMA in this cup and base. TPR, relative weakness, not looking great. Dell continues higher. Micron, strong breakout yesterday, kind of inside day today. See this can follow through again. EWC, EWZ into the base, top of the base, XBI as well. Credo holding this base breakout. CLS pulling back to the 8 EMA here. As long as this holds above this base high, it looks very constructive. You can see it right there. UFO space pulled back a little bit, but again, doing nothing wrong. So above that 21 EMA. Planet Labs as well. Nice bounce off the lows. Kava pulling into the 8 EMA. And that is the 21 over 21 list. Turbo 12, ARM, absolute monster. This has been TurboTaction's biggest position, full size, and we accumulated in this space here. So some really nice gains on this one, and this one is just powering through. You can see it's up 6% after hours in sympathy to Intel earnings, which let's just take a look. Intel up 15%. What a monster comeback story for this name. And the CPUs, that's been the big theme. It's just incredible move, really. And unfortunately in Turbo, I was buying it in here, ran up, stopped out around here and got shaken out in the space and never was able to get on board. But congrats to anyone that caught this, up another 16% after hours. That's a heck of a move. But back to ARM. Yeah, these big bases. So this one is 10 ATR above the 50-day moving average. Triggered that today. But this is just breaking out of a 2-year base. So again, aware of that, but when you look, it's not extended as it's been going sideways for 2 years. And so again, tremendous strength and just trial moving averages, but this move could just be getting started. BWX, nice hold at the top of the base. FRO sitting right at the 50-day here. Qnity coming through this ugly reversal high. GLW, this one looked really, really good. Super tight flag. Yeah, this one looks like it could be unwatched to add another breakout. SOLS, see if this can ever break out. Still tightening below this 85 pivot. Modine as well, holding above 250. TSM coming into the 21 EMA, see if that can hold. AMPX, good action here, holding above the pivot. Fly pulling back into the 21, and also worth watching if it gets, this 34 area, top of the base. AAOI pulling into the 21 day and kind of this top of the base here, down almost 8% today. Lunar as well, space pulled back a little bit, pulling back to the 8 EMA, and that is the Turbo 12 list. And again, leaders still continue to hold up well, as you can see in the list. The power trend triggered, so you want to try to stay with your names as long as they're not going to break your stops. They're going to try to stop you out, right? The S&P 500 had some volatility today, but again, if you have your estimated balance at risk, know your max downside, have a plan for your positions, then you can, the intraday volatility shouldn't be an issue. TXN, another semiconductor highlight, up 20% on earnings out of a huge base, just stellar action there. And semiconductors, we'll just bring up bring up semiconductors. I mean, what a move here. And this can keep going. It's just right. It hasn't even broken the 8 EMA either. Not calling a top here, just pointing out that it is extended to an extent. But yeah, so that is going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com. You can reach out to me on Twitter at ConnorJBates _ phone is 855 Real Wealth 855-732-5932. And if you're ever interested in becoming a client, as always, please reach out. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you have an awesome night, and we will see you tomorrow.